Good morning. It's the 14th of March, 10 o'clock, 2022. I should have put the year in. Here's one of my thinking out loud films where I am going to approach the same challenge or issue or thought string from a number of different angles, and probably lay down a whole bunch of films to try and approach this from various different angles. So as a coach, one of the truisms is if we always do what we always did, we'll always get what we always got. And coaching is all about transformation. So a huge focus for me is contracting, soft contracting in sort of counselling jargon as to what success looks like. And a big part of that is balancing the expectations of provider, supplier, and responder, recipient, to see if our expectations are in alignment, to see if my remit, the tabletop of my remit, can deliver to the expectations of the person who I am partnering in their process of transformation. So over the years, 24 years of career and purpose coaching, and nearer 40 years if I include sports coaching, golf and swimming in particular, I am obsessed with efficiency and technique and flow and streamlining and just making it easier to achieve results, be that speed, time, purpose, reduce the pain of not performing to expectations, those expectations within. So as I've said, many of my other films, 90% of the people I meet are either in the wrong job or not engaged by their work at all, which means that 10%, I probably are much less than that, less than 5% even by now, are enjoying a purposeful, proactive, fulfilling, satisfying existence, because we attach so much identity to what we do as human beings, the verb to be. If we don't feel that we are being or doing something worthwhile, then things start to go wrong, and we start to perhaps even struggle with our self-esteem at worst case scenario. So the truism, if we always do what we always did, we'll always get what we always got. Now, over here, I've got I invented the Potential Thieving Triangle way back in around 2000, 2001. And this upturned equilateral triangle, which I've done lots of films about, so some of you may be bored with this by now, but this is hopefully a refreshed angle. So here's the 10% of people who are turned on to their life's meaning. They're kind of feeling good about themselves. They've invented stuff. They're getting traction, a sense of fulfillment and purpose. So these they're often outliers. They're pioneers, mavericks, heretics. They're change makers. Up here, controversially, I have referred to this in the past as the sort of self-perpetuating mediocrity. It just keeps on going. It keeps on rumbling down the road. Perhaps people who don't go to work to live. Some people live for their work. These people don't necessarily do so. So it's perpetuating the status quo. I have sometimes referred to this as the past, because these people are really into conventional thinking. They've always done it this way. Why should we change? Orthodoxy. They're often the power base because they're the majority. So people don't know what they don't know. So, when somebody comes along from this population down here and decides to upset the apple cart by creating change, this part of the organisation or society feel frightened. They feel change is coming. So there's this disruption coming with it, hand in hand. These things operate. So I'm striving to live in a peaceful world where people are on the front foot, they're proactive, they're on purpose, they're living on purpose, they're going somewhere, they feel confident, they're generating value. There are some incredible outliers over the centuries, Copernicus, Charles Darwin, Marie Curie, Albert Einstein, people who really created enormous disruption by phenomenal pioneering thinking, which challenged the status quo. It challenged the establishment, often the scientific establishment, that pride themselves on empirical base and constantly scrutinizing learning and the knowledge base. And when we try and inch it along towards the future, there's huge resistance in the majority of these people with the established thought. So thought has been established, people have bought into it, something new comes along, upsets the apple cart, woe betide somebody who's the heretic, who challenges the status quo. Chances are they might even have been burnt at the stake in the past, which is just how sad it can be to be a pioneer. So I've always thought that this reactive, proactive dynamic existed in this way. But now we've got a massive conflict in the world and the potential for World War III. I've been turning my own thinking upside down and really trying to think, well, what do we do to achieve consensus and cooperation and a convergence, a kind of coherence of thinking? And so many people actually think the future, the answers lie in more technology, and they don't, because the evidence tends to support that the people in the early 1800s in America called the Transcendentalists, who were very fearful about the mechanization of work, the Tolpuddle martyrs, the Chartists, the Luddites. Luddites weren't anti-technology by any stretch of the imagination. They just wanted to earn a fair day's pay for their expertise. They wanted their expertise to be valued. So they tend to be proven right, because the direction of travel of advancement in technology is that we've taken away the labour force. We are pressurising the economics of pay and supply of skill and talent versus demand. And if you do the extrapolation and you look towards the future, that's going to get worse and worse, because huge advances in technology with artificial intelligence are looking like making huge tracts of the employment market redundant, obsolete. So in Mo Gaudat's book, which is just sitting behind here, which I wish I could get my hands on, yes I can. Scary Smart. He's postulating that he's sitting around a campfire in 2050, I believe it is, and he's in the desert, and is he sitting there around the campfire because he's hiding, or is he sitting around the campfire because his life is replete and he's just got so much leisure time on his hands, and the machines are taking care of all the hard work, all the unpleasant labour, and we live in a world of complete abundance and fruitfulness, and there's no conflict. Wouldn't that be nice? So what I'm now wondering is if you took technology, if you took the personal computer out of society and pretended it had never happened, and you took religion out of the equation completely, how much less conflict would we have? I know they're hysterically far-fetched suggestions to consider that one, for an example, the world might be without technology, but perhaps there would be more harmony. Perhaps there would be less otherliness, people being made to feel different, especially with religion. People have been fighting over tiny little changes in grammar and sentences in language and nuances in religious ideology that are a hair's breadth apart in terms of what's actually being said, but they're prepared to kill thousands of people in the name of good. Now, that just doesn't make sense to me. That's the epitome of unsustainable kind of craziness. So what I'm trying to do here is start a conversation about what success looks like. What does the future look like? Because we can't live in a workless world, because Homo sapiens is designed to work. We are a very complex, electrical, generating, computationally brilliant machine. And we have to work. We were evolved to chase our quarry down over 2-3 days. We have potential enormous fitness and strength and agility and dexterity and incredible visual acuity and the ability to focus amazingly on a single task. If survival relies upon it, we can't all of a sudden within 10, 20, 30, 40 years throw all of that away and pretend that we aren't the machine that we actually are. So when I'm striving for consensus, cooperation, cohesion, coherence, all these C words of collaborating, it's interesting how many times I get expunged. I get kicked out of the group and regarded as the troublemaker because I say things like, the answer's not in the technology, the answer's in the people, the answer's in people's hearts, the answer's in connectivity, the answer's in community, being resilient enough, not being precious about our domains, but being sufficiently open-minded to be able to integrate argument and discussion and debate, but not fall out. We're always falling out until such time as we learn to get this balance right. It's always going to look like that. There's always going to be a tiny percentage of the people who are discriminated against by the majority. And what we really need is we want this just to be a great big green triangle. And don't get me wrong, it's all right to be up here. It's all right to because these are the safekeeping people. They are the kind of the guardians, the curators of the past, and history's very, very important. So in terms of history keepers and recorders and archivists, yes, it's great to hold on to the past and to celebrate where we've learned our lessons from, but we've got to learn the lessons from the past, and we've got to start being kinder to these people, because this is where all the value is in society. The value lies in people evolving towards a future which is a really compelling future, not a frightening, terrifying, dystopian future, but where we're learning from our lessons. We epigenetically, we lay down the the lessons we haven't learned and the lessons we have learned in the gene pool, and the future generations stand on our shoulders and take that forward in the form of betterment, improvement, increased efficiency. Where did the opposing grip come from? All of these things that we're an amazing result of millennia of generational improvement and enhancement. So what am I saying? I just want people to be less precious about being challenged, not necessarily feeling the need to go to war, to foist an ideology on other people, and not to think that the answers lie in cryptocurrencies going off grid for energy. It might well be that's the way it needs to be in a post-industrial world, which is what I'm writing about in terms of being good, contributing good to society. We've got to strive to connect and stay in touch and not fall out, reduce the conflict, love a little. And for that to happen, we've got to do the self-inventory to love this first. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to cultivate loving relationships in others. Good luck. Good beings.